Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And in this video, I am doing a ranking of all the best pictures of the 1960s. So, top 10, not top 10, there's only 10 movies, but ranking the 10 best picture winners this decade. I said before, this is definitely a decade for musicals. 4 of the 10 movies were musicals that won Best Picture. Some comedies in there, one really epic movie I would say in here, um, and I'd say the '60s. Like I said, top 3 or so are pretty good. Uh, and the other ones are fair to just kind of they're okay. They're just kind of boring, I guess, for me. Is where I'd put it. It's not a terrible decade. For Best Picture winners, I'd say there's definitely some really good ones in here. Um, Number 10, I got a movie that maybe my least favorite Best Picture winner, one of them definitely of all time. So a lot of people put this as one of their favorite movies of all time. It's called Midnight Cowboy. Came out in 1969. Or it was the Best Picture winner that year, the first X-rated Best Picture. If that tells you anything. Now it's rated R, but still a pretty what's the word? It's a movie about a guy who wants to be a male prostitute. If that tells you kind of the storyline, it's not exactly the best storyline I've ever seen in the movie. Definitely risque. First time it's X-rated because of the sexual content that's in it. That was pretty shocking for 1969, for sure. But it's just a very unhappy movie. None of the characters are likable. I just never liked this movie. Don't get why it's so heralded as this big movie that people love and a lot of critics love. That's just my opinion. Uh, I said maybe a lot of that's just because of the material of the movie is why I don't like it. It's just a little immoral for me. Number 9, I have kind of more obscure movie that you probably never heard of called A Man for All Seasons. Won Best Picture in 1966. Probably the one I've only watched like one time, and I can't remember a whole lot about it, except it's about Thomas and Henry VIII, King Henry VIII, wanting a divorce from his wife, but his friend, who's now like a bishop or something, won't let him get the divorce. And he's going, I think his name is Thomas, if I remember right, but he's going against the king, so king actually could do something really bad to him. So it's about standing up for your morals and stuff like that. It's a true story, of course, about real life. Henry VIII, of course, ended up beheading his wife and thought that was more moral than getting divorced, I guess, or he wasn't allowed a divorce, so behead her. So he beheads her so he can marry again. He also beheads Thomas, his friend, former friend, for not supporting him anyway. So, and it kind of deals just with Thomas as the main character of the movie, kind of following him. But I guess, like I said, it's kind of forgettable movie. It's kind of boring from what I remember. So I just don't. I never held it very high. And it's like I said, it's not a movie anybody ever talks about. Number 8. Now this is the really big epic movie that people love. That another one that probably is number 1 on the list, but for me, it's number 8, and that's Lawrence of Arabia, Best Picture 1962. I think it's AFI. It's like in the top 4, top 5 best movies. Definitely one of those every critic has pretty high on their list. I guess for me, it's just a really long, boring movie. It's over 3 hours, I believe. Peter O'Toole's the main character, playing a real life character, Lawrence or something like that, and kind of following him during World War I, and he's kind of allying with Muslims. I'm not sure where they are, somewhere in the Middle East, I guess, during World War I, and kind of becoming like them, dressing like them, and kind of getting into their culture and helping them. And then it doesn't seem like it was really that happy of an ending or that satisfying of an ending to me. Like I said, it was just a really long, boring movie. I just could not get into it. I would say cinematography is great. Musical score is great. There's some great stuff like that. Acting wise, directing wise, definitely some good stuff. It's just not movies for me, I guess, in that sense. So that's at number 8. Number 7, it's kind of a little known movie called In the Heat of the Night, Best Picture of 1967. It's really just a murder mystery movie. It's kind of much different than most of your Best Pictures. It doesn't really feel like a Best Picture type movie. That's why I'm kind of surprised it won this year. Um, Sidney Poitier plays Mr. Tibbs, has a famous line, "They call me Mr. Tibbs." It's one of the great lines from the movie. Probably the only thing people know that movie from is that line. But it deals with a murder in the South, and the local sheriff, whatever, asked Sidney Poitier, who's a detective, to help him. Of course, Portier's character is black, so there's a lot of racism, of course, in the South. So he's having a hard time getting anybody to talk to him, and he even gets attacked by some people. Even the sheriff is a little bit racist, but yeah, of course, they learn to respect each other. Good performance from Sidney Poitier, and I'm forgetting the guy who plays the sheriff won the best actor for that season that year. It does a pretty good job. It's a short movie, if I remember right. It's only like an hour and a half. It feels much different, like Lawrence of Arabia, which is this long 3-hour epic movie, and with these sand dunes. And this one's just a normal movie in the South, police procedural movie. It almost feels just like a TV show. And the murder mystery is really not that interesting, or not one of the best. You can see a lot better on TV. So definitely the stakes aren't as high to me. But it's a decent, like I said, short, so you can get through it pretty quick. Norman Jewison, who directed it, is one of my favorite directors. Directed it anyway, so yeah, it's at number 7. Just a middle of the road movie to me. Number 6, I have one of the big musicals that decade. My Fair Lady came out Best Picture in 1964. It's my least favorite of the musicals that came out. It's not one I never really cared for that much. Again, it's a pretty long musical. I do like Audrey Hepburn quite a bit. She's one of my favorite actresses at this period. She's pretty good at the main Eliza Doolittle character. And Rex Harrison is the doctor, or the guy that's teaching her how to be high social, whatever. Is decent at it. Some musical numbers, obviously famous. I Could Dance All Night, The Rain in Spain, The Rain Falls Plainly in Spain, or something like that. That song. I Come Accustomed to Her Face. Those kind of stuff are decent. What's one? I like With a Little Luck, You Don't Have to Work. It's pretty good. But I think it's maybe too long of a movie, and it's a little slow at parts and kind of boring. So it's never been one of my favorite ones, but definitely some good stuff there. Number 6, My Fair Lady. Number 5 is the most obscure movie that you over here probably is Best Picture winner. One you never probably heard of, called Tom Jones from 1963. Yeah, the movie is called Tom Jones, which you're probably thinking, isn't there a singer named Tom Jones? Yeah, like no relation to the singer Tom Jones. It has nothing to do. When you first see it, you go, what is this, a biography of Tom Jones? Like, what? It's just so weird. I didn't know why Tom Jones was probably singing at that time period. I'm sure he might have been well known at that. I don't know why. But it's a British comedy, of all things. Very British. It's extremely British movie. A lot of all British actors. Yeah, but it's actually surprisingly kind of a decent movie. I was kind of one of those pleasantly surprised kind of hidden gem movies where I was like, man, I don't know what to take out of this movie. I don't know if I even explained the plot of it, but except there's a guy who kind of gets adopted by this rich man because his housekeeper like had him out of wedlock, and so she gives it to him to adopt and raise in this kind of rich household. And then he goes off to find, I think, his real father. And then he's, of course, has these different girls that he's involved with, if I remember right. And someone's trying to hang him at the end, I remember, and miscommunications, and somebody's after him. Anyways, but yeah, it's like a decent, like, silly British comedy in a lot of sense. which again, you don't think that's the best picture. It's definitely a weird best picture winner when you think about the more serious epic movies that usually are the big, costume. Well, this has a lot of costumes in it because it's a period piece, but when you think of the big musical numbers and the costuming and all that stuff, it's definitely a lower budgeted movie comparatively. But still, it's like if you find it, I found on HBO Max recently. I don't know if it's still on there, but if you catch it on there, it's still something I think worth the watch. Just for say you saw Tom Jones, Best Picture winner, of 1963. So that's at number 5, right in the middle. Number 4, I got another musical, Oliver, won Best Picture 1968. Classic musical. The Orphan Boy, who then is working for Finnegan, the Artful Dodger, and pickpocketing people. And then there's I forget, the really bad guy who's trying to use him to steal from people, and I think going to houses and stealing. Yeah, decent musical. I love Finnegan, the guy who kind of has these group of boys that he teaches to steal and bring back to him. I think that actor, really good performance. Definitely one of my favorite. But I just, of course, you gotta love. Please, sir, can I have some more? More. That's a classic scene, for sure. One of my favorites. I'm forgetting the musical numbers on top of my head, but I know there's some pretty good ones there that I enjoy. So it's an enjoyable, not one of my favorites, but decent musical. Number 4, Oliver. Number 3, now we're getting to the really big ones. Number 3 is West Side Story, Best Picture 1961. Definitely one of my favorite musicals from this period. The Romeo and Juliet type style of the Jets and the Sharks, the two gangs that are rivals. And then, of course, one guy from one gang and a girl from the other fall in love. They shouldn't. And then a lot of bad stuff happen, and they're on the run, kind of. It's definitely, of course, like Romeo and Juliet, tragic story, but yet very enjoyable, great musical numbers, dance numbers. I love the dancing. Probably is what really puts it over amongst other musicals. Is it has a very unique dance style to it and music that I haven't seen before in other ones. Yeah, and just a real fun musical for me. One of my favorites at number 3, West Side Story. Number 2, another big one, probably the biggest movie of this decade, actually, box office wise, is The Sound of Music, Best Picture 1965. It's definitely, I mean, all-time classic, one of the best ones, of Maria, the nun who stays with the governor, or stays with this military man who has like 6 or 7 children, and she has to take care of them, and then they're out singing songs, Do Re Mi, and of course some of the greatest songs. Hills Are Alive, Problem with Maria, Edelweiss is probably my favorite song out of it. Love that sequence. A few of my favorite things. All those songs great. I would say the first half is really good. Second half is a little boring. It starts dragging a little bit. Of course, you get into the romance with Maria and the governor or whatever. And I say governor, I mean the head of the house. That part I don't care for as much, and then the ending is really good when they escape the Nazis and all that. So, but yeah, I definitely had to put that there. Number 2, Sound of Music. Number 1 is more comedy, part drama, part comedy, called The Apartment. It was the very first movie of the decade, 1960. Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, the main two. Mostly I think Billy Wilder was the director. Directed a lot of great movies in the 60s, a lot of these comedies. I love Jack Lemmon. He's one of my favorite actors of this time and of all time. He's a great comedic actor. I also do some good drama too in there. But him and Shirley MacLaine have really good chemistry together. And it kind of movie about him trying to get up in the corporate world by letting men take their mistresses to his apartment to do what they want, and he's getting up in the world, but then he finally has to kind of grow up or be a man, and and say no and all that, and care about other people, and of course cares about Shirley MacLaine, who he falls in love with, and but then she's in love with the boss. I guess I'm going through the whole plot. I'm sorry, but uh, very good movie, very good comedy with a lot of dark drama in there, surprisingly. But I do love the story, how it's told. Very well written script, and like I said, it's mostly because Jack Lemmon. I love anything he's in, so that's why I put Department #1 for me for the best picture of the 1960s. So that's my list. Please feel free to comment. What do you think? What's your favorite of these movies that won Best Picture? And just thank you for liking or for watching this video, liking it, and thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Have a good day.